Hey, vinyl community, Curtis Young here with Young LP Lovers. Thanks for stopping in and chatting music. I'm here today to do a competition or a contest, as we would call it on this side of the pond, for Gordon at I Dig Vinyl. He's pushing to 500 subs. Of course, I'm going to link to Gordon's channel down below so you can go and see his initial video. He's putting it this challenge. You know, we're coming into festival season now in the summer. I know I've been searching up a lot of the different festivals in my area and kind of seeing who's playing, seeing which festivals I can get to. I've got a few things planned for the summer, so maybe I'll share those festival ideas with you later. But his challenge to us is to come up with our own fantasy festival, right? Any acts we want, living, dead, you know, any era, you name it, right? It's your fantasy. So what is your fantasy festival? He wants the acts, wants us to give us a name, where it's going to be at, and who we're going to bring with us, right? Whether vinyl community channels. So yeah, Gordon is over in Scotland. I had a wedding to go to in Scotland, actually. I think my Scottish flag is this one right at the end. There it is. So these are some of the countries that my wife and I visited before we had kids. Some of them, at one period, we were collecting the little backpack badges. Anyway, but had the pleasure of going to Scotland. Really enjoyed our time there. It was fantastic. Wedding was in Glasgow. We got to go up through the Highlands as far as, well, I guess about as far as Loch Ness. Went down to Edinburgh during Fringe Fest. That was all great fun. Great memories of Scotland. Of course, I'm here in Nova Scotia, New Scotland, so strong affinity for Scotland as well. So I'll talk a little bit about that later when I show you where I'm going to put the festival. But I guess generally it's going to be a seaside festival, right? We're going to be on the ocean. In the most beautiful part of Nova Scotia, up in the Cape Breton Highlands, which I would say would rival the Scottish Highlands. Not for height, but for beauty. I think so. Okay, let's get into it. So we're on the coast. It's going to be a full day affair, right? So we're getting started, like noonish, right? Maybe 1, 2 o'clock. And we're going to do some local flavor. We've got opening this up like a kitchen party vibe. We've got Great Big Sea. Had to have some local fare in the festival, and these guys are just a party on stage, man. They're just, so it's like, I guess it'd be like Celtic folk rock. Think along the lines, if you're not familiar with Great Big Sea, like the Pogues-ish, or like maybe Dropkick Murphys kind of vibe. So definitely that Celtic flavor, maybe a little bit more folky, especially toward later in their career. I'm not sure what year they broke up. A couple of them are still doing solo things, including Alan Doyle. Here, they're going to be here in Truro the night I'm at a different festival, so I'm not going to get to see them. And in fact, I've picked almost all bands, with the exception of one who I haven't seen live. I say they, I mean Alan Doyle, the lead singer, and one of the primary songwriters. They do a lot of like cover songs, traditional Irish songs, and so forth. But Alan wrote a lot of the songs as well. And he's got a lot of solo stuff as well. So I'm going to miss them because I'm at another festival where they're at this one. I'm going to be at the Stan Rogers Folk Festival. So I'm kind of bummed about that. I'm still kind of holding out hope that maybe they might show up on Saturday, because they're Friday night in Truro, which is only 2, maybe 3 hours away, and they have nothing lined up on Saturday night. So I'm still holding out hope that maybe they're going to announce it as like a surprise, last minute, build up excitement or something. Anyway, these guys can be a headliner for a concert around here, right? But they're not going to be my opener for my show. All right, next up. Big part of a festival is not only the music, but it's the people and it's the vibe, right? And so this next artist is got a cult following, right? And brings just a unique vibe that goes really well with the coastal setting. I'm talking about Jimmy Buffett. Yeah, we're going to go to Margaritaville. We're going to be eating cheeseburgers in paradise, baby. yeah, I think considering our seaside setting, following on from Great Big Sea, I think Jimmy Buffett and the Parrot Heads uh, are just going to elevate this party to the next level. So this would be what? So if we start at 2 o'clock or so, this is coming into the supper hour for Jimmy Buffett. Perfect time slot, I think. Then we're going to get into sort of the sunset session. Important time in a festival, right? So I had to think strategically here, right? I want to keep that festival vibe going, but I also want to have someone that's fitting of that sundown set, right? And I'm going to go with the Grateful Dead, right? I mean, is there any better festival experience than the Grateful Dead? Of course, I didn't get to see the Grateful Dead in their time, but yeah, we're taking it back to Jerry Garcia days. Yeah, there's a festival I used to attend, and we would always end the festival at the Dead tent during the sunrise session. And so it's a bit of a throwback to the Evolve Festival is the name of the festival I used to go to, and we would be up all night partying, and then we would chill out for the sunrise set down at the gratefully dedicated sound system in a yurt or a gar or whatever, those round tents. So I think they would be just as good at sunset for winding up the party. All right. Next up, one of my all-time favorites. They're all my favorites, right? But I had to really think about the flow too, right? What's going, where are we going with the mood and the vibe of the evening? You know, I wanted to add in some hip hop. I didn't put any hip hop in because, I don't know, it just didn't flow right for me, right? So, but I am going back to The Doors. What an amazing time it would be to get to see The Doors performing. We're talking LA Woman era Doors. Yeah, what can I say? Jim Morrison on stage would be just, you know, a dream come true. So we're going with The Doors for the first kind of nighttime set. And we want to pick it up a bit, right? I want to get to some kind of, you know, headliner rock acts. I was trying not to copy Gordon too much. He had some great lineups, man. I loved Gordon's choices. But I wanted to have some more Canadian acts in here as well. This is the only group who I have seen before, but unfortunately their lead singer has since passed away, and they are no more. So that would be the Tragically Hip, right? We're going from The Doors. We're going to get a little more rock heavy, you know, from that kind of blues rock. This is like straightforward, in-your-face rock and roll. Here with, but still poetic, like Jim Morrison. Still, still a poet. Still, very interesting music here. For anyone who doesn't know the Tragically Hip, they're probably one of Canada's most well-loved bands. Not by everyone, but REM comparisons. But they're their own kind of thing, man. And they would just bring this Breton Canadian party to the next level, I think. So The Doors, the Tragically Hip, sorry. Now I got two more, and I wanted a big rock band, stadium, arena kind of legends to top this off, and I could think of no one better than Queen. Freddie Mercury, I think back to like Live Aid and that kind of performance, right? He's bringing that to Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, the Cape Breton Highlands, and Queen is going to rock us into the late night. And then headline the show. This is an artist who was already mentioned in Gordon's video, but if I'm planning my fantasy concert, it's got to be Bob Marley. So Bob Marley and the Wailers. We're going this era, so we got Bob, Bunny, and Peter who are going to be on stage rocking this festival. I think going from Queen to Bob Marley, I think we can make that transition. I think we can go from the ruckus rock to the one love unity to end out our festival. Maybe maybe they get an epiphany and they do some of their later stuff. Maybe they open with Natural Mystic, coming through the Highlands on the coast, through the mountains. That would just be next level. So closing it out here with the Wailers. All right, so where am I going to have this? Oh, look at this. It's I forgot I recently changed this. I have the gatefold covers. Anyway, I digress. So where are we going to do this? So we're going to do it up in the Cape Breton Highlands. I'm going to show you a little map here of where I'm at. Maybe I'll insert some videos. So we're here in Eastern Canada, in Nova Scotia. Of course, strong Scottish heritage. A lot of Gaelic was spoken here and still is in places. So we're not going to be in New Glasgow or Pictou, which is where the first Scottish settlers landed on the Hector. We're going to be over here on Cape Breton Island. Yeah, and while I'm tempted to go south to like areas around Dundee, which is nice flat lands, I think the real beautiful part is up north. So we're going to go up past Glenora and Glendale. They have a fiddle festival there, which would be a possibility. But we're going to go up along the coast past Port Hood and Mabou. We'll pass through Glen Falls, and actually maybe we'll stop in Glenville here, because here we have Canada's first single malt whiskey distillery. Anyway, but we'll keep going up past Inverness, past the Margarees, and get up into what is the Cape Breton Highlands. We won't go as far as Ingonish, but rather we'll go north up here into the Dingwall region, a small fishing village on the north coast of Aspy Bay. We have this beautiful provincial park, Cabot Landing, and this lovely beach. Have a look at this beach here. This is going to be the site of our festival. There we go. There is the provincial park, and there's some lands around the provincial park that we could use as well. All right, now he's asked us for a name for the festival. And, Nova Scotia has a tremendous amount of coastline, referred to as Canada's ocean playground. I read recently that I think there's no place in the province that's more than, was it 40 miles or 60 kilometers maybe from the coast, right? And I think in that same article, it said that if you took the coastline of Nova Scotia, you spread it out, it would go all across Canada and back. That's a lot of coast. So with that in mind, the name I'm going to go with is the Tidal Coast Festival. Yeah, I think that kind of acknowledges where we're at, but also the journey the festival takes us on, right? So you've got the ebb and flow of the evening. I think it kind of captures things nicely. So the Tidal Coast Festival. See you guys at the Tidal Coast Festival. Who am I bringing with me? All right, well, I'm just going to shout out a few of my favorite channels, and in doing so, talk a little bit about channels I think would enjoy some of these artists, right? So I'm going to going back to Great Big Sea. One of the early channels I got to watching was Brian over at Shamrock and Records. I know he's a big Alan Doyle fan. So we'd take Shamrock. He doesn't do a lot of videos now, but go and check out his old videos. So Shamrock and Records. Rob up at Northern Revolutions. Rob can get down with a bit of Great Big Sea, Alan Doyle as well. So Rob, Northern Revolutions, I'll check out his channel down below. I bet you Chris Mann would also enjoy a little bit of Celtic rock. So I'm going to link to his channel down below as well. You know who would enjoy some Grateful Dead and Jimmy Buffett, and I know in fact has enjoyed these two many times, would be Glenn Kellaway from The Basement. Soon not to be from the basement anymore, but yeah, Glenn would enjoy these two. So I'll bring Glenn along so he can get some Grateful Dead during their peak and some Jimmy Buffett during his peak as well. Tragically Hip, Joe from Racer Records. Joe, come along, man. We'll watch some hip up in the Highlands. Yeah. And I got to give a shout out to my favorite reggae channel for reggae music, Doug over at Fat City Vinyl. So I'd bring Doug. I know he's been to a lot of reggae shows over the years. But hey, to see the Wailers in their prime, come on, Doug, we'll take you up to the Highlands, man. All right, so that's it, folks. Hope you have a wonderful festival season. Get out there and enjoy. Peace.